Up boys and girls, it's Seb here with Modify Up. In today's episode, I want to knock out some of the easy stuff on the Silvia. So let's have a look at installing a set of extended wheel studs on the rear of my Silvia. Now process is a little bit more difficult than doing the front hubs, but I want to show you how to do it without using a hydraulic press and only using basic hand tools. Now this process is the same for basically all of the rear wheel drive IRS Nissans. So let's check it out.
So, you found some awesome wheels, but come time to put them on, you're all like, no! Because they look like they're in the sunken place from Get Out? Don't worry, we're going to fix that. I just want to address the elephant in the room by saying, this is not a bolt-on versus slip-on spacer video. Make up your own damn mind. I've had success and failures with both types, and for me, running extended wheel studs with slip-ons gives me a little bit more flexibility with wheel choice. I'll be running several different size wheels throughout an event, so I want to be able to swap and change without having to unbolt. As you'll find out, some wheels have a flat mounting face with no backspace for anything protruding past the hub. Do your own research, but don't come crying to me because you forgot to torque the wheel spacer and your wheel flew off at the track. There are two considerations here. One, you buy good quality extended studs like ARP. Two, you use hub-centric spacers and the correct size hub rings for the wheels. A lot of people are pretty lax on the hub rings, but hub-centric spacers are useless if the wheel center bore isn't snug with the spacer. So make sure you measure your wheel center bores and make sure you're running the right hub rings. Now that that's out of the way, let's get started here. Once you have your wheels off, the first thing you want to do is pull that axle split pin out. Remove the 36mm axle nut and check the axle slides in and out of the hub. I say do this first because I've seen so many times where it's seized in and you can't get the axle moving. So if that's you, sorry buddy, you're going to have to take the whole knuckle and axle out in one piece. Press it out, probably use a blowtorch too. Once you have some movement, it's pretty clear the axle will slide right out when we get the wheel hub off. Now you can undo the two caliper bolts and sit them aside and slide your rotor off. Whether you're running 4 or 5 stud hubs, the process is the same. The only difference is the 5 stud hubs is that you have the drum brake assembly inside the rotor. For GTR and Z owners, you're going to have to remove the drum brake shoe assembly as the brake shoe anchor pin goes through the hub. But for 90% of us normal folk, we don't need to worry about that and can continue on with the brake shoes in place. On the back side of the knuckle, there are 4 19mm bolts that hold the hub in place. These can be super tight if they've never been removed before, so make sure you have a breaker bar handy. 2 can be reached from where the caliper was bolted on, and the other 2 can be reached from behind with an extension bar. Nothing else needs to be removed here. Once the 4 hub bolts are removed, you can gently pry the hub out using the shoes as a leverage point. Just work around the hub evenly until it pops out, then slide the hub off the drive shaft. Now you might be wondering why we didn't knock the studs out of the hub on the car. Well, this is an easy way to damage the wheel bearing, and it's not something that will be immediately apparent. If you knock the studs out on the car, in 6 months' time you might hear a dull rumble coming from the back of the car. Well, that's because you damaged the wheel bearings. In any case, you have to remove the hub anyway because the new studs are going to be too long to slip in behind the hub. So at this point, we could just walk over to the press there and push out all of these studs in one hit, but I'm going to show you how to do this with hand tools so you can piss off your neighbors with incessant hammering noises. Be sure to do this at nighttime while your neighbor's kids are asleep for maximum brownie points. It's real simple to get these studs out. Just take a deep socket, say 22 or 24mm, sit that bad boy on the ground and sit the hub on top with the stud lined up over the socket. Go ahead and put your wife beater on and show that stud that you're the breadwinner here. The idea is to send the shock down into the socket instead of shocking the wheel bearing, which will damage it down the track. It might take a few tries, but you'll be pretty pro after a few studs. If you want to unlock hoarder god status, you can put an old wheel nut on the stud before you wail on it, so that you don't damage the thread. But since my garage is full of junk already, I'm just going to beat these out and throw them away. Now you should have a studless hub. You can go ahead and prep the new studs to go in. You want to put a really thin smear of grease on the knurl of the stud, just to help it slide in. You never go in dry, just ask your wife. I've firsthand watched my apprentice snap brand new ARP studs going in dry, so please take care here. Also note that too much grease will actually stop the stud from bottoming out against the hub, so use your discretion. Sit the stud in place and take a flat spanner. That's right, a flat spanner. Stick a washer on it and reverse up a wheel nut. We're going to use a spanner to pull the stud into place. If you don't use a flat spanner here, you're going to pull the stud in off center and you'll have ruined a pretty simple job. Lube up the stud threads and get to cranking on that nut, and that'll pull the stud in square. Make sure the stud bottoms out in the hub and you're done. I'm going to cheat here and use a rattle gun to do the rest, but just make sure the studs are in straight, the threads are lubed, and the nut doesn't bind up when you're pulling the stud through. When you're done, the hub should look a little something like this. Ooh yeah. If you want to check the studs are square, go and grab your brake rotor and slip them over the top. Make sure you haven't screwed it up. The rotor will slide on nicely if the studs are square. While you've already pissed your neighbors off, you might as well go ahead and knock the studs out of your collection of bolt-on spacers. And now let's put it back together in reverse order. Okay, bye. Nah, we're not about that here. Don't worry kids, I'll hold your hand till the end. I think the most important thing here is to make sure you use anti-seize on the axle splines. Save yourself the headache and at least put some bearing grease on there if you don't have any anti-seize. Slide the hub back on and line up the mounting holes. Get the 4 hub bolts started by hand. The hub itself is a semi-interference fit with the knuckle, so you'll have to pull it down using the 4 bolts. I'll drop some links in the description to all the torque settings. But once the 4 hub bolts are torqued, you can go ahead and torque up that axle nut, making sure you don't forget to put that big ass washer on before the nut itself. Go ahead and put the crown back on, nut, slap a new split pin in there. From there it's smooth sailing. Now's a good time to adjust your brake shoes if need be, or you can simply go ahead and get that rotor back on there and bolt your caliper up. Now you're ready to hit the track again with the added benefit of adjusting your track with slip-on spacers.
Well, that is it guys. I hope this helps you on your way to reaching that perfect stance or to chase down the last 10th of a second by increasing the track width. I want to do a special shout out in this episode to Dexter at casa.digital. Thank you for all your support and helping me get this thing off the ground. Justin for helping me with all of the logo and sticker designs, and the powerful Johnny, aka JVN Sound, aka JVN Garage, aka Johnny Blaze. Thank you for the backing tracks. Make sure you check him out on SoundCloud. I'll drop some links in the description below. And if you want to follow me on Insta, it's at ModifyUp. Make sure if you like what you see, you drop me a like or consider subscribing so you don't miss out on anything coming up. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching.